Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV and welcome to this. Yeah, it's another watch and read party introduction. Now, I wasn't originally planning to do two consecutively, but I thought, seeing as this is going to be like it's a watch and read, so it means there's going to be like a couple of months before I do the rest of it. I thought, why not? Why not just do two concurrently? So I decided to do that, and what I've decided to do is something that was actually more than one person requested this. It's What Dreams May Come. That's my watch read party. Now, you may well be familiar with this. It's quite well known. I'm very familiar with the film What Dreams May Come. I have actually watched it many times. I'm very fond of it. It's one of Robin Williams' finest films, and of course it's all the more poignant now he himself has gone down that little tunnel, hasn't he? So I watched it actually the night I heard that he died. But you see, the film, which actually came out in 1998, and it was actually won an Academy Award, I believe. Yes, it was. Yeah, it's had. What was it? What did it have? Yeah, it had. I think it was its special effects. Actually, it won an. Yeah, it was actually nominated for Best Art Direction. It won Best Visual Effects in the Academy Award as well. It also got an Art Directors Guild for Excellence in Production Design and a Satellite Award for Best Visual Effects. Now I must say, when you watch the film, I have to agree, and I'll come more to that obviously when I do the review. But I just wanted to begin by saying that this is a really good film. It's an excellent film. It's I don't know if it's one of my favourites, but it's certainly up there. It's certainly up there. And now, I found this out later, actually, after I'd watched the film, that it is actually based on a novel by Richard Matheson, this one, with the same title, What Dreams May Come. This was published in 1978, and this is actually the latest edition by Tor, Tor. You see, that's the publishing house there. You can pause and read the blurb at the back if you like, but it's a nice image at the front there, you see, which is really nice. And Dean Koontz says his stories not only entertain but touch the mind and the heart. That's Dean Koontz, famous horror writer. Dean Koontz has actually had a few weird supernatural experiences himself, but that's a story for another time. Now, I'm curious to read the book because I've never read the book before, which kind of means, my options are going to be a little bit limited. You remember the options I gave you in the last video, basically, the introduction to the watch read party for Inferno. There's a connection, actually, because both the connection between What Dreams May Come and Inferno is Dante Alighieri, the poet, and the Divine Comedy. This very I'll talk a little bit about that, actually. It may be worth even reading that as part of this watch party, read party. Oh, by the way, how many of you saw The Crafty Nihilist? That is the Crafty Nihilist's video called WTF Ben. And I won't play it for you. You can go to their channel and watch it. But it's only 49 seconds long. It's really funny. It's like based on my the video I made the other day. And when the music stops, I say here, burn the book, says Crafty. Record and pure genius. Yeah, I do recommend that. It's a very good video indeed. So that's kind of that's kind of what we're in, that sort of situation now. And yes, with these watch read parties, you do have a limited number of options. And you see, these are. I'll just get my notes here. So I don't want to make any mistakes, because I caused a bit of confusion for the Crafty Nihilist. But your options are: read the book only. Option number 1. Option number 2: read the book and watch the film regardless of order. I don't do this as well as the Crafty Nihilist. Option number 3: watch the film only. Option number 4: read the book first and then watch the film. Option number 5: watch the film first and then read the book. Option number 6: read neither the book nor the film. Now, I recommend option 4. Obviously, I have no choice here. It's going to have to be option 5 because I've seen the film many times. Now, this means that, when I'm adapting it in my head into my internal movie, like I talked about in the last video, it's inevitable I'm going to be I'm going to be influenced by the film, so probably the main character, who's the same in both the book and the film, I'm going to see him as Robin Williams. Robin Williams, I can't help that. That's inevitable. Um, it's one of these things that happens when you watch the film first. However, I have studied this. Now, I've not read a full synopsis of the plot on Wikipedia, but I know that the plot differs considerably from the book and the film of What Dreams May Come, and also the What Dreams May Come appears to be more. It seems to be, it goes in deeper into the research areas, and this has always been a little bit of a disappointment for me, I must say, that because there are afterlife themed films have been coming out lately, and some of them are very well researched. However, they don't really centre their story on that research enough, in my view. And What Dreams May Come, the film, is one of them. Another is The Discovery, which I have done a review of, if you remember. The Discovery, which is it's a Netflix exclusive, or well, it's available to watch, and in which Robert Redford plays this mad scientist who discovers proof of the afterlife. And really not enough detail. There's not enough detail into the psychical research element of that, as well as I said, the social and political implications and cultural implications, which I'm very, very interested in, which is basically why I did such a detailed review of the film. The book apparently goes into more depth in that sense. It goes into a more intellectual exploration of that side of things, according to what I've read. And if you see here, the back has a bibliography. You see that? Let's check you can see it all right. I'm not still on share screen. No, I'm not. There, you see the back. The book has an extensive bibliography. Now, it's unusual to have this in a work of fiction, but it has all sorts of books on psychical research and the afterlife. There's stuff by there's Raymond Moody. There's Dion Fortune, Through the Gates of Death. There's Eben Alexander. There is Arthur Finlay, On the Edge of the Etheric. There's Arthur Conan Doyle, The New Revelation. Now this bibliography was created. Sir Oliver Lodge as well, and Raymond Moody. I mentioned Raymond Moody, Life After Life, which is an absolute classic. This is what popularised the idea of near-death experiences. And of course, in the film, Chris, the main character, does have a classic. He begins his journey to the afterlife with a classic NDE. Yeah, so there's who else is there? There's some interesting things in now. Lyle Watson, The Romeo Era. That's very good as well. That's a rare run. That's a rare book. That is. I've got a copy thanks to my mum, who actually got hold of it. And obviously this bibliography was created when the book was first written in '78. There's been many good books written since then on this subject. Books by Anthony Peake. Books. This Raymond Moody's written more books. Eben Alexander's written more books. There's been more books from the world of spiritualism and things like that. So yeah, it's obviously the author intends for the reader to not. It's not just a story. In fact, he says quite clearly. Let me just get the page up. Just going through my notes here. He actually says here only the. Where is it? Only the characters. No, where is it? Only the characters are fictional. Everything else is based on reality. He puts it. That's not a quote. I'm just looking it up here. See, Matheson was primarily known for horror. He wrote a lot of horror stories, including some quite famous ones. He wrote several episodes for The Twilight Zone, which I'll talk about in a minute, because some of them are very interesting. And he says, I was determined to fight against this image, damn it. I never wrote real horror to begin with. Horror connotates blood and guts, while terror is more subtle art, a matter of stirring up primal fears. But by the mid-70s, I was tired of playing the fright game. My scaring hell out of a couple of people no longer appealed to me. And he bases Chris, the main character, apparently it's based on his own family, which is interesting. Now, he himself was married he actually had a very, very successful marriage. He was unlike a lot of famous people. He was he was married to his wife. Let's have a look. I'm just going through. This is about Richard Matheson, the author. Yeah, in 1952 he married his wife Ruth Ann. Anne is the name of Chris's wife in the film and the book. And they had 4 kids, and they were parted by Matheson dying in June 2013. So that's really good. That's like 50, 60 years. That's a diamond. Is that a diamond anniversary or a ruby anniversary? I can't remember. I think it's a diamond anniversary, or was it a platinum? Anyway, that's really sweet. That's very, very romantic. That is, yeah. But yeah, this is him. This is Richard Matheson. I've heard a lot about. Never read anything by Richard Matheson actually. Here you go. There he is. Now, Matheson is well known actually as as a writer. I say let's go into some of his other writing because I learned he's actually one of these writers who's actually behind an awful lot of the stories that are very popular, but not a lot of people know that until you suddenly spot his name and start seeing his name. I certainly started, his name kept coming up, and first I didn't know who he was, but then his name kept coming up again and again and again. So, for example, he wrote the book I Am Legend. It's one of his early works, actually, from 1954, and of course it's been adapted twice. Firstly, there was the Omega Man, and then secondly the I Am Legend 2007 version, which is the only one I've seen, which had Will Smith in. This was like a very, very early zombie film, post-apocalyptic zombie apocalypse movie, and apparently it's inspired George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. And I didn't realise because it's a much older story actually than Night of the Living Dead, and so I assumed it was the other way round for whoever created I Am Legend, because when I first saw it I thought it was just the film with Will Smith. I assumed it was inspired by George A. Romero, but I was putting the cart before the horse there, wasn't I? So Matheson has also created other things as well. There was apparently there's another one called The Last Man on Earth. That was the first film that was made of it in 1964. Then it was the Omega Man 71 and I Am Legend 2007. Yeah. Apparently he wrote 16 episodes of the Twilight Zone. Now I know he wrote a couple of them because I've seen one of them, which I was very impressed with. I didn't know he's written 16. I wonder what the others are. But some of them are quite famous, such as Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. Now that is the Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. That has to be one of the most famous. That has to be one of the most famous Twilight episodes. Nightmare at. Yeah, there must be one of the most famous Twilight Zone episodes of all. I'm not actually going to show it to you. I won't show it to you because I'll probably get I'll end up getting a copyright strike. I will show you a bit of it here, but this has got to be one of the most famous ones of all. It's got pre-Star Trek William Shatner. And this is his Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. There you go. And well,
and substance.
This is the one where there's the man on the plane, and he's very nervous and he's scared of flying, and he's just come back from having medical treatment, played by William Shatner, and he keeps looking out the window and seeing this strange creature that's got this gremlin walking on the wing and sabotaging the aircraft and things like that. And he keeps telling people and no one believes him. And they say, just relax. He sits down like that, and they put the blind over the window and he looks up like that. And the thing's got his face right up by the window. Oh, it's a very, very good episode. Very good episode indeed. Classic. Well, he wrote that. I've only just found that out actually. That was pretty good. Steel is another one now. What's Steel? Because the Twilight Zone is it's all sort of weird stuff, I've never seen this one. Set in the near future, its premise is that human professional boxing has been banned and replaced by android boxing. Oh, right, I see. I've not seen that, but it's based on a short story by the same name by Richard Matheson, first published in the May 1956 issue of Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction. Oh, right. Yeah, I'm not seeing that one. That's Steel, but he also wrote this. Now this is where it gets really interesting because I saw this when I was a kid and I didn't realise what it was. But there's an episode of the Twilight Zone called Button Button. I wonder if it's on YouTube. Let's have a look. it's one I remember seeing when I was. It's one of the later series, which is in colour. Oh, it is. Let's have a look. This is worth seeing, I think. The Twilight Zone button. Is this the original? Just having a look. Here we go. Yes, it is. Here we go. Look, here we go. Button. Yeah. It's about this. It's about this family. Yeah, this couple, this poor couple.
Well, it still wouldn't have been there, Norma.
Maybe. If we...
All right, I'm not going to show. I don't need to show it to you, but you can go and see it for yourself. But it's also been turned into a. I literally just found this out when I was researching this video. It's been turned into a film called The Box. Now, this is a 2009 film with Cameron Diaz and James Marsden. Now, I'm going to have to watch this now, aren't I? I'm going to have to watch this because the button story is so good. So literally, I just found this out a few minutes ago, and I'm going to have to go and watch that film now. It's a really amazing story. It's a kind of intriguing kind of thing. And when I saw Richard Matheson had written it, then that name came up again, Richard Matheson. I remember when I saw it the second time, I thought, well, who is Richard Matheson? That's when I first started looking into who he was. But this is a film about the plot is that there's this, as you say, there's this couple, there's this very down to heel working class couple, just living in poverty, in a never have enough money to make ends meet, scrimping and saving for the bills, like so many people have to do these days. And then suddenly they get a knock on the door, and there's this strange man there, kind of Man in Black type character. And he says, I've come to deliver something for you. And he hands over this box, and they open it up. And they hands over this parcel, and they open up the parcel. There's a box with a little cover over it, a transparent cover. Inside is a big red button. And they can't get it open because they need a key. And the man comes back the next day and gives them the key and a set of instructions. And the instructions are, he says, I'll leave this key in this box with you. Now you have a choice. You can put the key into the lock in the box, and it releases the cover, and you press the red button. When you do, I'll come back the next day and I'll give you £1 million. That's what I'll do. But at the same time, somebody in the world will die. Somebody who would otherwise have lived, somebody you don't know, will die, who would otherwise have lived. What a dilemma, what a choice, what a devil's bargain that is. And it has this kind of weird supernatural theme, which is typical of the Twilight Zone. That's what, of course, I love about the Zone, and what a lot of other people love about the Zone. It's fantastic. It's a typical Twilight Zone story. So that again, Richard Matheson. I'm going to have to watch this film now. It was directed by Richard Kelly. It's based on the 1970 short story Button by Richard Matheson, which was previously adapted into an episode of The Twilight Zone. All right, so it was. Let's have a look. This was published in 1970. Published in Playboy. Shoved in between the tits. Right. I see. I didn't know he published stuff in Playboy. Mind you, Playboy actually surprisingly. They're surprisingly woo-woo, you know. Playboy, because Robert Anton Wilson was editor of Playboy for a while, wasn't he? Yeah. Button, The Twilight Zone, yeah. Yes. So what would you do if you were faced with that choice? Maybe we can talk about that in a live stream. I won't have to make this an alt tech exclusive. The other one, Inferno, I might, but not this one. If someone turned up and made you that offer and gave you the box and the key with the button on, the red button inside, what would you do? Eh? It's very good, isn't it? Yeah. So I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna have to watch that film now. So the film itself was directed by Vincent Ward. Now he's a New Zealander apparently. I believe I think he's a lamb muncher. He is. I thought he might be Australian, but no, he's a lamb muncher. A New Zealand film director, screenwriter, and artist. Yeah. And this film has Robin Williams, of course, Annabelle Sciorra, who plays Anne, and Cuba Gooding Jr. I always see Cuba Gooding Jr. looks exactly like one of the porters, who's actually my shift partner. I used to joke with him. His name was Joey. If you're watching, I used to joke because he looks just like this guy Joey, and he looks exactly like him. Now, What Dreams May Come is Shakespeare, and I've actually misquoted it previously. I thought it was when it was connected to the undiscovered country, the undiscovered country from which no traveller ever returns. I know it's Hamlet, but actually the entire quote is from Hamlet's soliloquy. Where is it? Here we go. Yeah, it's the to be or not to be soliloquy, the opening phrase of the soliloquy given by Prince Hamlet in the so-called nunnery scene, Hamlet Act 3, Scene 1. This is when this is the scene where Hamlet, he's a very self-reflective kind of character who thinks a lot about death and things like that. And he says here, "For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil must give us pause." So it's a very well-known, it's a well-known phrase. It's a well-known Shakespeare quote, yeah. And apparently Shakespeare read the Divine Comedy, or did he? Listen to my interview with Nick Colostrum about that. But there's on the subject of the Divine Comedy. Now, this is I've been looking into this because the Divine Comedy it's important actually to know about the Divine Comedy for both Inferno and for this particular one, What Dreams May Come, because it's inspired both stories. The Divine Comedy it's a poem. It's a long narrative poem written by a guy called Dante Alighieri. And this took him a long time to write. This actually it took him over 10 years, in 1308 to 1321. And well, I know how it feels to take a lot of time to write stuff anyway. But it's very, very interesting. A lot of the things in the Divine Comedy actually fit with a lot of our popular ideas of the afterlife today, and it's inspired a lot of afterlife tales, including What Dreams May Come. It's about the narrator. It's a first-person narrative by Dante. It begins with, there's several different translations. There's this one here. I found several different versions of this. There's three parts to it. There's Inferno, Purgatory, and can you see that? Okay, yeah. Inferno, Purgatory, and Paradise. It begins with Inferno, which is hell, and as you can see here, it goes through. This is the old. This is maybe harder to read, but this is the original translation. About he goes through a wood where he's attacked by a lion or something, and then he meets up with Virgil, the Roman poet, and goes down into hell. It begins. This is see, abandon all hope, ye who enter here. That's the there we. What is it? Yeah, abandon all hope, ye who enter here. That's the most famous part of it all. And but there is another one. This is the a more recent translation into language. It will probably be easier to understand. There's no illustrations in this one, but it's here. Feed Books, The Divine Comedy. And it talks about this here. It says it's published 1306. I don't know why that. It's a bit earlier according to this. But it's divided into cantos. The cantos are like the different chapters. Midway upon the journey of our life, I found myself within a dark forest, for the straightforward pathway had been lost. Funnily enough, that line is quoted in another Robin Williams film. It's one called Patch Adams, which is very good. I won't talk that. That's going a bit off topic, but that's very interesting as well. You could probably read it's quite long because there were like 33 cantos in every. There were these cantos like just poetic segments, but there were like 33 there were 34 cantos in Inferno, 33 in Purgatory, and 33 in Paradise. the idea of the idea of purgatory is that you know it's trying to explain to people how you're supposed to be absolutely pure to enter heaven, but surely if you've just maybe coveted your neighbour's wife once or twice, surely doesn't just condemn you to hellfire or something. And so theologians in the Middle Ages actually said, no, we can't have that. I'll tell you what, I think Bill Hicks, I could feel a Bill Hicks joke coming on. Well, I think what God meant to say was, you had this idea that there is a place called purgatory, where if you committed mild indiscretions, misdemeanours, you can atone for them. So my nose is itching. You can atone for them in purgatory rather than be sent to hell forever. From what I gather, I mean, it's interesting that the story. Well, I won't put any spoilers in here, but the story, the element which intrigues me about the film is that hell itself is not a permanent resting place for most people. Now, according to Judeo-Christian theology, it is. You see, you condemned forever by God. This is what I gather from my interest in spiritualism and psychical research as well, is that it's what's known as the lower astral. The lower astral is a hell-like domain. It's an unpleasant location to be in. Yet it's not somewhere you have to stay for. It's not somewhere you necessarily are stuck forever. You have the option of escaping the lower astral through karma. And I'll say more in the review, but that, of course, is a major theme of the film. I've never read the book, as I said. I've not read the book yet. I'm going to. Well, obviously, I'll read it now. I've just got a copy now. So lots of interesting stuff there, definitely. It may be worth if you can reading the Divine Comedy, of course, because it's this old style form of writing. Even though, like, the translation may be a little bit dense, simply because language, people wrote in a different type of language back then than they do now. Of course, this was written in colloquial Italian. It was actually, it's been very influential, incidentally, on the Italian language. The Divine Comedy. A lot of people say that modern Italian, in its standard form, because of course there are like 12 languages and 100 dialects in Italy. It's a lot, but apparently the standard Italian has actually been influenced on this sort of thing. And there's a few things I want to go into, because I mean, this may be not connected to the book, but this is interesting here. The first circle, limbo, virtuous pagans and the unbaptized. This is the first circle of hell. And this has always bothered me. And in fact, for those of you who read my books, Roswell Redeemed, I bring this up in the book, through the characters in the story, especially the young boy Brendan. I bring up this idea of how babies who die before being baptized, such as my own daughter Alice, who was stillborn, they cannot enter the kingdom of heaven because they die without sin, but without grace. They have no grace because they're not baptized. And I always thought that was pretty horrible. And funnily enough, my mum did as well when she was a little girl. She was told by one of the nuns that old babies, they just go to limbo forever. This horrible place. Well, it's not quite as bad as hell, but it's still very, very boring. It's still horrible. It's still nasty. So I'll be reading this with some interest. I'll read this whole segment with some interest. But to me, it's just the unfairness of it all. And when my mum told me about this nun telling all this actually inspired a scene in the story Roswell Redeemed. There's more interesting stuff about Matheson. I'll come back to Richard Matheson. And again, this connects to my mother, because he's another thing I watched and knew a long time before I realised he had anything to do with it. I never realised I didn't realise he had anything to do with this. But it's another I've watched something, I really like it. An episode of The Twilight Zone, or like Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, Button, or this What Dreams May Come, and also Duel. How many of you have seen Duel? Now it's actually on YouTube, I think. It's actually now a freebie on YouTube. Where is it? Okay, it's certainly, I did watch it on YouTube once. But it's Steven Spielberg's it's his first feature film. Yeah, a dual. Oh, it is. It's the dual full movie. Here we go. Presumably, but it's how long? It's been there 5 years. Presumably, there's not a copyright issue on this because it's been there 5 years. Maybe it's now a sort of public domain type film. Oh, hang on. There's loads of. Oh yeah, this is a pretty good film if you've not seen it. All right. Oh, hang on. That's all, folks. Anyone getting the Mandela effect? Yeah. I think I'll show you a little bit of this because I don't think. Oh, you can buy or rent it here, but it's a freebie. So I don't know. Obviously, I don't know why they have this ad to buy or rent it, and then it's a freebie here. This is a classic one, isn't it? I saw this when I was a kid. Again, Richard Matheson didn't know he had anything to do with it, but there you go. But this is Steven Spielberg's first ever feature film. It's really atmospheric, actually, especially this beginning. And get. It begins just. There's no music or anything at the beginning. It just begins. It's rather dreamlike. You know, POV, drive along roads and things like that. It's very good that way. But the plot of the story is there's a guy he's a very ordinary guy. In fact, he's super ordinary. His name is David Mann. He's got the most ordinary name imaginable. What's the name of the actor who played him? I can't remember the actor. But he was in that thing. He was also in that. What was it? What was that TV series where he plays a guy riding on a horse down the street? I'm a little bit too young to remember it, but not the name of the name of the TV series escaped me. But anyway, he's so ordinary. He's just driving along in his car. You know, he's a businessman or something, and he meets a lorry, and the lorry then proceeds to try and kill him. The lorry driver, who you never see, he's like unseen. You never see him except his hand waves him. You see his hand sticking out the window. But the lorry driver then tries to kill him, and you never know what. You never find out exactly why. You never find out why. It's like one of these weird. It's one of these weird things. It's one of these like here we go, dual 1971 film. It's Weaver. What's it? Dennis Weaver. That's him. Yeah. And Dennis Weaver. He was in westerns. Yeah, that's it. What's it? McLeod. That's it. McLeod. He was in. That was the name of the one. And you never find out why the lorry driver wants to kill him, but it goes to an enormous amount of effort to try and kill this guy. Just chases him all along roads. Well, eventually, I mean, this guy, he takes detours to try and escape this lorry, and this big grey old lorry it's very well filmed. I mean, it almost has this kind of supernatural element to it. The lorry's dirty, it's smelly, it's covered in dust. It's a bit like the car driven by the creature in the film Jeepers Creepers. It's like that. It almost has this kind of otherworldly feel to it, this lorry. And my mum always liked that film because she says it's about paranoia. And it's about paranoia. Because this guy, this lorry driver is trying to kill him and you don't know why. So this video's been a bit rambly, I know. I can't think of anything else to say right now about it, but I'm going to watch The Box as soon as possible because it looks well. If it's as good as the TV series, the TV episode Button of Twilight Zone, then that's going to be worth seeing. It really, really is. Anyway, guys, so like I said, this is the watch-read party. As with Inferno, I'm going to leave this a longer time. Probably sometime in the spring, I'll do the reviews and live streams of this. So you've got plenty of time. You've got plenty of time to read the book if you want to read the book, which I'm going to do. Never read it before. I'm going to go and read it. Or, as I say, watch the film as well.
As I said, as always, option 4 is the best one if you've not seen either, right? If you've not seen this film or read the book, option 4 is read the book first, then watch the film. Which is, of course, like most people, you've probably seen the film, so it's not an option. But seeing as the book is so different, I'm curious to know what you guys think of it. So that's it for this video. I mean, I probably won't be able to do another video now till the weekend because I've got a very busy week ahead. I'm doing HPANWO radio as well, so it's probably going to be the weekend, and I'm going to have to do another comments reply video. They come around so quickly, don't it? It's like the monthly rent. It comes around quicker than you think. And so I'll be doing a comments reply video probably next video. All right, and it will probably be. It won't be till the weekend, at least, I think. So sorry about that. There won't be any videos for a while, but I hope you enjoy these two I've done since the new year. Hope 2023 is treating you well so far. Thank you for watching HPANWO TV. Hospital Porters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order.